Okay, welcome back. This is for the Drawing 1 class, and this is part 2 of our demos having to do with the first unit on gesture drawing. And we remember what we just learned. We did some demos on the bag, the paper, and we talked about what is mass gesture drawing, what's a scribble gesture. We did the plant. We talked about how when you're doing mass gesture, oftentimes it's useful to break things down a little bit in terms of value, to look for dark shapes and light shapes. Also, we talked about how it's important to not be afraid to make mistakes. And I really pushed that further with this one where I combined mass and scribble in a very kind of loose way, but I was also trying to just make a lot of random marks. Okay, so I'm going to do just a couple more subjects and just to kind of demonstrate how to do this and just to give you some more examples of things that are going to relate to our assignment. So I'm going to do the shoes next, and the shoes are going to be the homework assignment to do a pair of shoes. And I'm going to start in mass. And for those of you that do have a little bit of that fear of making a mistake, one of the things that's nice is if you do your mass drawing kind of light, it gives you a chance to adjust things. But I think fundamentally, though, one of the best things about gesture drawing is it forces you to not worry about making mistakes, to instead embrace the idea that errors and mistakes happen. Perfection is not that important. It is the process, the search towards perfection that's important. A good drawing that is aiming to correct and always try to get better and better all the way through the process of the drawing is a much better drawing that tried to be perfect right away and then spent most of its time trying to avoid messing anything up, right? And just trying to decorate what was assumed to be perfect to begin with. So as you may have noticed, I switched to Conte and I've switched to a more linear kind of mark making system. And you don't have to, by the way. I mean, you can do very linear scribble gesture type drawing with your Vine, and you can do mass also with your Conte. But I do find in these very quick kind of demo situations that separating the two tools that way, the two kind of mark making systems that way, helps to clarify. You can kind of see the really crisp Conte mark on top of the lighter value and the softer mark of the Vine. So this is a slightly more complicated kind of setup in some ways, and actually more related to the kind of the final still life that we'll do as the drawing for this unit, in that there's some complicated space between these two parts, right? This is more of a still life space rather than a single object type study, like we did for the first 3 demo drawings that I did earlier. This drawing has to create the believability of this being closer to us than that. One other thing I want to talk about in terms of tools, so far we have been just using our Vine and our black Conte, but I want to talk a little bit about your erasers. You should have 2 erasers. One is your kneaded eraser and one is your white plastic. Now my white plastic is broken up into a small little piece right there, so that it's useful for this kind of quick mark making. And I definitely recommend that everyone else do that. Take out your X-Acto knife or utility knife and cut your white plastic eraser down into some smaller units. Some people have real difficulty, emotional difficulty with that, with cutting up their supplies. If that's the case, I understand. Maybe you might want to buy 2. Buy one that you can keep whole and one that you can cut up. Now your kneaded eraser is also a really interesting tool because you can mold it into different shapes and get like different kind of points out of it. And one of the nicest things about a kneaded eraser, and I'm going to say this probably in many different demos, but I'll say it right now. One of the nicest things about a kneaded eraser is that most erasers, like your white plastic eraser, they really only work in 2 gears. They either erase, right, completely, or they don't erase at all. Like you go over someplace and you basically make no mark. A kneaded eraser is one of the few drawing, like erasing type marks where you can erase just a little bit if you want. It has a lot of touch to it. Now notice I have been using my erasers, but I have not been erasing out stuff. I haven't really been, I mean, I maybe took a little bit of some of the edges out, but I haven't been correcting with my eraser, like saying this is all wrong, erasing it away, and then redrawing it. Instead, I've been using my erasers as light type marks, right? So remember, they can be, you know, we could decide, oh, that line right there is wrong, and it's fine, but remember your eraser is more than that. Your eraser can also be a tool for making light marks into dark areas. Okay, all right, we've got about 3 minutes left. We have time for one more subject matter. One of the great things about a gesture drawing is because you learn to work fast, you can do subjects that move. Yeah, go ahead and switch on to her for a second. Hopefully she'll show a little bit more of her face in a second. Oh, she's moved. I gotta switch my drawing. Get the new gesture. So do you see how quickly in a gesture drawing you can go from the dog being in one position to another position? This is Molly, by the way. All right, let's get a dark mark in here. So I can use my eraser to get rid of some things that are just kind of out of the way, but I can also use it to make light marks in areas that I want to be a little bit lighter. She's just gone back to sleep. Okay, so that's pretty much the end of this demo on gesture drawing, and I probably won't have any other demos for Unit 1, but make sure to watch. There's the videos, these videos that I've just worked on, but there are some older videos, one of me doing hands, both as a blind contour and as a scribble gesture, and there's also a video of me doing some figure work that was from last spring. And don't know if there's anything else I need to say. I think that's about it. All right, well, thank you very much, and be sure to watch the next videos as they come up.